Mark Westcott.
And I'm Sarah Cox.
And welcome to the Power of Great Questions. Today it's a great privilege to be interviewing Julia Waller from Strategic Coach. Hi, Julia.
Hi, both of you. Good to see you.
Fantastic. And I have to start this interview off with a plug for your new book, don't I? The
Awesome.
Unique Ability Discovery 2.0. That's kind of, the 2.0 makes it sound really important. So we'll come to that, but congratulations on the new book.
Thanks very much. We're very excited to share it with everybody.
Fantastic.
So Julia, why do you think asking great questions is important?
Well, I think asking great questions is important for lots of reasons. For me, it really helps uncover what's underlying. So I specialize in helping people figure out their unique ability, which really describes who you are at your best, what you do, and what you love to do. And when you ask questions, you draw out what's already inside. I believe that we all have a lot of wisdom and knowledge, and when you ask questions, that is able to come out and come into the light.
Right.
Fantastic. Julia, let's just go to the book for a minute. What's the value that you see for the clients that you deal with? And I know you do a fantastic job, and I've seen the results of so many people you've worked with. What's the value of the whole unique ability discovery session? How do you best articulate that?
Yeah, so there are a lot of people get different things out of the session, but it shows up in lots of ways. So for some people, it's a real validation of what they already know, but they just don't have the words to describe. So when you finally can articulate something, put it down on paper, your brain starts to respond to it in different ways, and you start to really kind of accept and own exactly who you are and your talents. And you understand the passion that drives you, and then you can apply that in greater ways. So what happens is you start to realign your activities even more with that unique ability that you bring to the world. And that leads to greater freedom from the energy draining activities that you're involved in, and then greater creativity, because now you've got this sort of unlimited well of creativity that you can tap into. And then that leads to a huge, greater jump in results for people. Fantastic.
Right.
I mean, you understand that I'm a great advocate of the whole unique ability concept, having been in Strategic Coach for so long. But the thesis, I guess, of what we're doing in the Power of Great Questions book, Julia, is basically putting out there that it's not what you tell people when you speak with people, it's the questions you ask that generate the greatest value. So
what happens when you ask someone a great question? What happens to them?
When you ask someone a great question, I think it has them think in new ways. I think people's minds go and look for things that they didn't look for before. I know some of the questions I ask people have never thought about before, and they really haven't given it any time or attention. So when you start to ask great questions, new discoveries happen.
Dan, I know Dan certainly says that when you ask someone a question, even if they don't answer it straight away, it sort of just sits in the conscious mind, subconscious mind as well, and it sort of just dwells there, and the mind works on it even long after the question has been asked. But I know that part of your process, Julia, is you ask obviously great questions to elicit great responses out of the people that do your discovery process. So what would be the top 3 questions that you ask as part of your process?
So the top questions that I'd like to share with you, the first one is a question where we actually have people ask of other people. So we have you send out a letter that has other people describe your unique ability to you. So you get to ask other people, what's my unique ability? And they get to share that with you in their own words, in their own way. And that helps you understand, first of all, that you have a unique ability and an impact on other people, and get the feedback. For a lot of people, this is where the light bulb goes on. So that's a question. A lot of people are scared to send that out. They're not used to asking for that kind of feedback. We're used to asking how we can improve instead of how are we great. And then once we get that feedback, I spend a lot of time asking people, what are you really doing? So we've got this feedback, say, from the first question, and then we say, well, what are you really doing that has people say that about you? And that's where we get into describing just how you're naturally being in the world, but you're actually trying to describe it and put words around it. And that's where most people have never done that before. And then I also ask, well, why are you doing that? And again, it's one of those things, just like breathing, you're like a fish in water and you don't even know that you're doing it but we start to think about, well, why are you doing that, and what result are you most passionate about? And that gets to your real purpose in life. So that's always a big eye-opener, I think, for people. And then the last question that, as part of our process, that I ask all the time is, well, what do you want to do? What shifts do you want to make so that you can do more of what you love to do and do best? And that starts to, once you've got your clarity around what your unique ability is, you really draw the line and start to craft your life around that unique ability. And then you're much more excited and motivated and also freed up. And you've given yourself more permission to do more of what you love to do. So you start to make those improvements and come up with a game plan.
Fantastic.
So why are the questions all about them?
Well, they're the experts, right? So you're the expert on you. I don't know anything more about someone else than what they know. I can just help draw it out. So I think we're all experts on our own selves, and I would never presume to know. Some people would like me to just do it for them, and it never works that way. It's a collaborative effort. But really, through going through the exercises, you're having the conversation with yourself, and you're the one who knows.
Absolutely. Now, Julia, 1987, is that when you started with Strategic Coach?
1997.
There you go. Well, of course, you wouldn't have been born in 87. But, now, all those years, very good. All those years at Strategic Coach, we talk about Dan's the master of asking great questions in the workshops and so on. What do you believe are the best questions that Dan has asked as part of the coaching program in Strategic Coach?
So Dan asked so many questions, it's really hard to narrow that down. I'll give you a couple of my favorites. Well, I'll give you one of my favorites, and then I'll tell you, I'll ask Dan that question. I'll tell you his answer. So one of my favorite questions at Strategic Coach is the R factor question, which is the Dan Sullivan question, also known as the relationship question, where you say, if we were meeting here 3 years from today, what has to have happened for us, if we were meeting here 3 years from today, what has to have happened for you to feel happy with your progress, personally and professionally? And it's a way for you to look forward and basically create your own future. So it's a wonderful question to ask for yourself, for your team, for when you're hiring, and it's very open-ended. Those are Dan's favorite kind of questions. And I actually asked him what his 3 favorite questions were, and his answer was, they're the 3 questions that I haven't asked yet.
Very, very good. I'm very impressed that you actually went to him and asked, preempting what I was going to ask you, but he hasn't asked them yet, so we don't know what they are.
That's right, and he loves the surprise of not knowing what they're going to be.
I just have to interview Dan and ask him what those 3 questions are. When the other thing that we've talked about as part of the coaching program is that it's not just the questions you guys ask and that Dan asks in the workshop, but what do you think are the questions that people in the workshops have asked of Strategic Coach that have created the greatest value from a Strategic Coach point of view?
Yeah, another really hard question, because there are so many. No, of course not from you. I think I can't answer with a specific question, but what I would say is they ask questions to understand at a deeper level and to learn. I think that's one of the things all of our clients have in common, is they're here to learn. They're totally open to coaching, very coachable, and they will ask questions that help them take what Dan's saying and then apply it to their own lives. So I think whenever anyone asks a question, it shows that they're engaged. It shows that their mind is working. Even if it's a question that sounds sort of challenging, it means that they're engaged and they're trying to figure it out. So I think those kind of questions are the best ones, and then they'll spur off another question right back to them usually, and it's sort of a bantering of questions back and forth. But again, as you both have said, it's asking these great questions that uncover things that you would never have uncovered before. So it's a very experiential and discovery type of process.
So Julia, as a coach, what would you like to achieve from coaching others?
Well, my goal, part of my passion and my unique ability, is to help people grow and fully express who they are. And that's what I want. I want people to grow, and I want them to express themselves fully, whoever they are and however that is for them in their own unique way. And I think that's going to create the best possible overall system in the world, and also have the most fun and the greatest teamwork.
So let's get back to the book, Unique Ability Discovery, session number 2, Discovery number 2.0. I love that. So tell me, what prompted the upgrade of your process in your book? You've obviously had a lot of experience in coaching people and helping them discover their unique ability. So what made it come about that you released the 2.0 version?
We released the 2.0 version because, well, it's been about 10 years, so we thought it was time for a refresh. And we decided we were at first going to just refresh a few of the stories. And then Catherine and I both started writing separately, and we ended up realizing that we had so much more wisdom over the last 10 years. I really hadn't been doing the kind of one-on-one coaching that I've done. I've done it about 15 years with our team backstage, but about 5 years one-on-one, full-day sessions with our amazing, brilliant clients. And so the process evolves. It gets better. It had gotten better, and we were going much more in depth with people. And I had better coaching around how to get people to where I was trying to get them, to the level of clarity that I was trying to get them to. So we wanted to capture all that in the book. And then we also thought we wanted to make it as easy as possible. So we included the notebook and gave a whole set of exercises. So it's almost like its own workshop experience, the same type of experience that we have at Strategic Coach. Only someone could do it individually. And that way it could spread further and back to people's teams and their family and loved ones and communities, and get it out to the world. Because unique ability, if we were all working even just a tiny bit more in our unique ability, I think our lives would all be better.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And so and what would you like to see as an ideal outcome for your client?
So the ideal outcome for my client is that they would get who they are. They would really, really get it in a really profound kind of way. Sometimes it sinks in. Some people get it when they see their unique ability written in one sentence, which is part of the process. And then I'd like them to take action to create a life where they get to do even more of that. It's going to be better for them, but it's also going to be better for everyone else, because that's where the exponential results come, is out of our own natural talents. They're already there. We already have them. We just need to let them out more and uncover them. And the more you know what they are, the more you can apply them to the right situations and again, create a better life for everybody.
Julia, great answers, and it's great talking with you, but I want to just diverge a little bit here, and I haven't given you this as notice, so it's an off-the-cuff question, which I know you hate. But I'm going to speak about Stefan's program that he's introduced, and you see, you do know you can answer this one.
I'd be happy to talk about that.
Yeah, the name of his program is the Engagement Multiplier, and obviously that whole the thesis of what we're doing, and obviously on what Stefan's doing, is about asking great questions of people to get a result and an understanding to help people to discover for themselves. So what he's doing in the Engagement Multiplier is really asking questions of each and every member of each team, each organisation, members in their team, to help make progress there. So do you want to give us a bit of a background on what your experience is and how you've found that whole process in regard to what it's done in Strategic Coach?
I'd love to talk about the Engagement Multiplier. I'm thrilled with our results that we've had so far from going through the process, and it's been an amazing experience. For me, as one of the leaders in the organization, there are a bunch of things I've always wanted us to do within the company, just to have a better company and a stronger culture. And all of those things have bubbled up and have started. We've actually made tremendous progress toward all of those things just by going through the Engagement Multiplier. So I think there were a lot of things lying around, annual growth plan meetings, various team initiatives, being more in sync with Dan's latest thinking, that type of thing, that were great ideas, but they weren't happening. So once we had this greater context of engagement and going through the process of asking the questions and drawing these out from all the team members, all of these things started to happen. And the team has just taken such great action towards this. We've got our own groups and our own teams working on various different initiatives, but it's all comes from within the team, which is very empowering, and it's basically us taking charge of making the company a better place, and it's put that back in our own hands. But if we hadn't had that context, we would never have done it. And again, it had been things that I'd wanted to happen for a long time, and all of a sudden they're all happening. So it's very exciting, and I think people are more engaged, and our results are going to be better, and everyone's going to be happier too.
Yeah. No, I think the greatest part about that is if someone had come in and said, this is what you need to do, and just told the management team, the strategic coach, it wouldn't have had the same effect as it does when you actually ask people and they give the responses themselves. So I think that's great testament to what's happening with the Engagement Multiplier. But you also touched on something before, and with what Sarah's doing in her business in regard to primal leadership, in regard to helping people with leadership, she focuses a lot on experiential learning, and you used that word yourself before, Julia, when you were talking about taking people through Unique Ability 2.0. You had that conversation about how experiential learning, where you're learning by an experience, is so powerful. So if you don't mind, I'm actually going to ask Sarah if she wants to talk about the power of experiential learning.
In the way it works?
Yeah.
So my experience with experiential learning is that it actually rewires the brain. So you're developing new neural pathways. Every time you have an experience, it works on the limbic system of the brain. So it actually gives a feeling which supports a new thought. So when you have a new thought and a new way of thinking, then it with the support of an experience, then that new way of thinking gets embodied with the person, so that they change, they make changes, so it's consolidated and integrated into the person.
So what you're really saying is by using it and by using experience as a way of teaching people, you're going to get much better results, which are longer lasting and creating new highways in the brain. I think you.
Yeah, well, it's sustainable learning. It's sustainable change.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful to hear, because that gives the scientific support for what we do in the Unique Ability sessions, honestly, and in the Strategic Coach workshops, because we've always talked about it as an experience, and Dan is one of the best people I've ever seen who honors people's experiences and brings what people already know and validates and honors that and brings it into the room and into consciousness from the subconscious. So I think it does change people, and they do transform as a result of going through experiences like that. So it's very exciting.
I'm just going to give your book one more plug too, and here's the copy of the workbook. And Julia, what I love inside, and for quick starts like me, I love the fact that you actually incorporate a whole lot of examples. So that when you're thinking about the answers to the questions, it's nice to have a few prompts there to help us along the way. But look, it's great material. I've had a look through it, and I can't wait to take the time with the team to sit down and do all our unique ability discoveries at the same time. So thanks for the great work you've done there. But I do just want to finish off by saying that the thesis behind all that we're doing here is that it's what we ask, not what we tell, that makes the greatest difference in people's lives. And Julia, I really take my hat off to you and your team for what you do with unique ability work for the people that come to you. Because you really do ask great questions, and that's what elicits the opportunity for people to learn, to understand, to work out what works for them and to change their lives. So thanks for your time today. I'm Mark Westcott.
I'm Sarah Cox.
And Julia, thanks for your contribution to the power of great questions.